Hey, Devin, what's up?
Devin, that's me. Hey, Dr. John, it's an honor to speak with you, my friend. I appreciate all that you guys do.
Thank you, John. That's me.
That's you, baby.
That's me. So what's up, brother? How can I help?
So I have a compound question. It's got two parts. If you'll indulge me like 15 seconds to get that out, I am well prepared.
Go for it. I am not well prepared. This ought to be good. This ought to be good.
Love it. So when you're the people pleaser in a relationship and always fixing the problems to protect or make your spouse's life easier or help keep the peace, what do you do when you encounter a problem that you cannot fix? And the second part of that question, we'll see if you can link this together. What do you do when your wife gives you an ultimatum? You give me a third baby or else?
You got bigger fish to fry. Walk me back on the people pleaser part. Tell me what you mean by that. Unpack that.
Well, I mean, it's kind of how I've always been. Just always kind of walk on eggshells, make sure everything else is taken care of, keep everyone else happy. In terms of my relationship with my wife, it's very much no conflict, just the happy wife, happy life, which is a terrible way to live your life.
Absolutely. It's terrible. Yeah.
And in a number of ways, early on, I would try and come up to like a conversation that was difficult, and I would just kind of get shot down very aggressively, very quickly. Quick rebuke and then punishment, like days or weeks of silence. At a certain point, I just sort of retreated and was like, all right, I'm not even going to go near the third rail anymore. But what has happened is those small things have gone by and I've kind of laid down. Now we're getting to the bigger, complicated life issues, and then the communication is just broken. I can't stand up for it. But in terms of like the direct problem here, I'm kind of the one who's always walking in front to kind of cushion life, to make sure everything's okay for her, make sure there's no stress in her life, and do everything I possibly can, going above and beyond to make sure there's no issues in her life. I've kind of created like a fake ecosystem that she lives in. So she doesn't even necessarily see why a third child would be so difficult, because I've made life so much easier, but I'm just out of bandwidth, my man. I got like nothing left in the tank.
Yeah.
I'm just very stressed out by it all. So people pleasing is the one problem. The second part is like, now we've had that train of issues not resolved, and we're at this big one that I just can't fix to make her happy.
Yeah.
Which is devastating to me too.
Yeah. Man, I hate this for you.
Thank you.
I hate hearing when men are doing the best they can with the tools they got, and their wives or partners run all over them, and it doesn't. It goes unnoticed and it goes uncared for. And here's the bigger deal: it goes undiscussed. Because I know millions of men are working their butts off, and it might not be the right thing, but man, the effort is there, and a simple conversation, like you mentioned early on, changes the entire trajectory of a relationship. But here you find yourself this many years later, and you're at an impasse. This is a weird question. You get something from this excessive amount of people pleasing. What do you get on the day-to-day? And not just like a friction-free life. Obviously, I get that you just do whatever she says, you eat wherever you want to eat, you get whatever couch she says you want to get, and you just go figure it out because it's not worth the fight. But you get something from this as well. What is that?
Sure. I think that's a great question. I think I like to be liked, or I need to be liked.
Yeah.
But the other problem is, like, I do like to be liked, but because I crave that, I like lose the respect of the people that I want to like me because they just walk on.
That's it.
If that makes sense.
1,000,000%. And nobody, I think people want two things simultaneously. They want things to be easy. They want to, quote unquote, be happy, right? So they want to get whatever they want whenever they want it. And then deep down, nobody really wants that because they know it's not safe, right?
Sure.
Man. Do you have an example of a relationship in your life when you finally stood up for yourself and said, I'm Devin, I'm not going to do this anymore?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize this until I did some real deep thinking as the past 3 months when this issue on the third baby has come up. I've done like a lot of like soul searching, like why am I like this and why am I just so avoidant conflict? I have a brother. I'm the youngest of 5, but my oldest brother was just an absolute monster to deal with, always pushing everybody around. You don't respect me, just very, very difficult. And our family, it was very much like, hey, you just let him go. He's not around all the time. So just let him do what he's doing. Don't stand up to him because you have to walk on eggshells, because if we push back, he might leave the family. And, about 5 years ago, I finally stood up for myself and was like, in a number of different ways. And I kind of threw him out of the family in a way. But that was the first time I really stood up for myself. But I see kind of tendencies between that and my wife. Like if I kind of dip my toe in there, it just gets, the rebuke is so quick and so swift. It's hard to not be conditioned to just like, I'm just going to go back here and just, what's fine. I won't even be happy. I'll just, whatever you need, I'll do. Just please don't yell at me.
Is that a paper tiger? If you hung in there through the initial high winds, does it crumble pretty fast, or is she a person who's just full of rage and anger and immaturity?
So that's a great question. See, the thing about it is kind of both. So recently I've started kind of holding my ground, because what will happen is generally in our relationship, I've caved. If she wanted something and I was like, I don't know if we could afford that, eventually I'll cave and just be like, all right, I'll figure something out. Because I can't figure this out by necessity, I've kind of had to stand up a little bit more, because there's just no easy fix to it.
Sure.
And she has kind of crumbled a little bit. But what has happened and this has all happened past by 3 months, is she'll escalate it, like the rhetoric.
Sure.
So like in the beginning, like 3 months ago, it was like, hey, if we have a third, I'd be really sad. And then it escalated to, I don't know if I'd ever get over it. And then quickly within like a month, it was, I'll resent you forever if we don't do it. And then it was like, And then it was, if we don't do it, I'll resent you. But also, I'm going to find a way to have a third baby somewhere with someone else.
Yeah.
And, you're going to be back. You're gone. So,
hey, Devin, you're worth more than this, brother.
I appreciate that.
I'm not just saying that to be trite. Because your older brother didn't become a monster in a vacuum either. You've been living with this crap your whole life.
Yeah.
Is your mom pretty tough on you?
No, I mean, my mom is the living embodiment of a saint. I think probably the other way, where she's just so good and doesn't think anything bad about anyone.
What about your dad? What about your dad?
My dad was kind of, seems very quiet. I think that like very early on with my oldest brother, they just kind of got conditioned to like, just let him be that way. Just let it go. And they got run over too. And then it just kind of dripped down to me and the family, where I was like, I guess I can't push back ever. But that's difficult. My dad is deceased now, but my mom's still around.
And I don't want to talk ill of the dead, but your dad didn't have some nuclear reactor in his chest where he was real quiet and just kind of did his thing, but everybody damn well knew you don't cross dad.
No, I mean, it was a really kind childhood. Like, there was no there really wasn't any anger. I mean, I'm sure that he wasn't a guy who complained.
Well, here's where the anger comes. So if there is, and I don't say it's rare, but it's not common. If there's just a pretty remarkable parents, and then a child's a monster. Like, so who knows what happened when he was at his friend's house, whether he was abused, like who knows, right? It could be anything, or it could just be, let's just say that's just the way that is.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a stark resentment, and it's hard to go there when on the face your parents were kind and loving and thought well of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But there's an inner rage in the third and fourth and fifth child, almost universally.
Yeah.
Because they're constantly asking the question, why didn't some freaking adult protect us?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then you pass that on, and then you try to become the protector for everybody and everything, and the only person you don't protect is you.
Yep.
And then you wake up at one moment and say, I can't do this anymore. And then it's a weird it's a weird thing, because you find yourself blaming your wife for the world you created for her, right?
Yeah, true.
And it doesn't give her a pass, but also this is just the ecosystem. So let me, like getting right to it. I would ask you not to bring a third child into this mess as it currently sits.
Yeah.
If I could snap my fingers and have made one more life decision and I could have it however I wanted it, I would have had a third child. I didn't, but I would have. Okay? Life didn't give that to me. We had a lot of challenges and et cetera, et cetera. But so I love the idea of a third kid. Sounds awesome. What I want to challenge you on is not incrementally. You can't incrementally change the dynamic of this marriage to the way that y'all are both going to become healthy. There's going to have to be some sort of line, because now your wife is threatening divorce. She's threatening infidelity. She's threatening the very foundation that you walk on.
Yeah.
Like, in fact, the foundation that you spent a long time curating so that she could have a safe, predictable life, she's like, I'll smash all of it if you don't give me what I want. And it's escalating. And I always look for trends. Okay? Does someone just say something dumb one time? Does someone just have a one-night stand? Like, I get those things happen. I look at these trend lines. This is trending in a pretty tough direction.
Yeah.
At some point, whether it's just y'all two, and if you tell me she can't handle it, she won't. I say, can't. She refuses to handle it, which is more likely the case. She's just too immature to do it. Then you're going to have to get a therapist. You have to get a third party. But you have to make the proclamation, the way our marriage has been is over. I'm not doing it anymore. You can't. Does that make sense? And then you have to decide, here's what it's going to look like. And she might just say, forget you, dude. I'm out.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely see that. And just kind of update on that is we did agree to go to therapy. We actually went to our first couples therapy yesterday.
Okay. How'd it go?
It went fairly well. I've gone to therapy myself, including I still go to therapy. I see someone roughly a couple times a month.
For how long? How long have you gone?
To my therapist?
Yeah.
About 6 months.
Okay. Has your therapist encouraged any sort of action plan to begin to regain autonomy?
Yeah, I mean, he thinks I should stand up
for
myself more to her and be honest. And to be fair, I've just, the other piece of baggage, if I may, is I had a prior marriage that lasted only about 2 years, and then we divorced. And that was a situation where I could never make her happy. And it was just, so coming into this marriage, I also wanted to I wanted less conflict. I just wanted to make everybody happy even more. So it's like elevated.
Well, and the paradox is you get less conflict when everybody's confident of the boundaries.
True.
You get more conflict when people don't understand there's a length to how far this rope will just go, and I'll just keep pulling it.
Yeah, no, it's 100% true. So we had our first couples therapy yesterday. It went relatively well. I give her a lot of credit for going because she's very resistant to those types of things. But it's strange because I kind of lay out my concerns, and there's several. And in theory, kind of like you, I would love a third. Like, that would be amazing to me. I don't think we can pull it off. I don't think it's right for our family. We have 2 kids. Obviously, so I'd be a third. So, but it's like a stalemate, and there's no.
But you got. Hey, dude, you got to understand that the child is the proxy war.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
Because if you have a third kid, there's going to be another thing. You will get me that car, I'm going to find a husband who will. You get me that house in that neighborhood. It's just going to always going to be moving because there's no boundary. She's anchored into something that is rootless.
You're spot on, which is not surprising because I watch your show quite a bit. but like we're at the kind of the tail end of that, which is the extent of we've had those other ones where it's like she wanted the big expensive house we have the car, we have the other things, and all those times it was always me bucking under the pressure of her leaving or her separating or something. I'll figure it out. Okay, we'll get the house. But now we're at that point now where it's like, I can't just snap my fingers and give us what we need to have this baby. So I know this is a proxy because if this dam breaks and we have a third, there'll be a conversation a year now about a fourth or an addition on the house or a beach house or a car or something. She's also, and it's not fair because she's not on the phone, but she's a person who's never backed down, and she's never been told no by her family when they were growing up.
Sure.
So
she found someone who would never tell her no. Pathologically,
which is great for her.
Yeah. Well, it's not though. It's drowning her, and it's about to cost her marriage. She doesn't even know it. That's why I think the most compassionate thing you can do, and it sounds counterintuitive, is to say no more. The conversation about a third child ends, and I won't engage in it for 1 calendar year because we have too much work to do. It's like adding a new roof on a house whose basement is completely flooded. Not doing it. Not even having the conversation about it. It's madness.
Yeah.
Because this relationship cannot hold.
That's my concern.
No. Devin, you're starting to avoid it now.
Well, but yeah, I mean, but the reason why that last part is difficult for her is because we're older now. And so this would we couldn't even, if a third was an option, my view is we have to fix the marriage.
How old are you?
32. I'm 38. She's 39.
Okay, my neighbor across the street last night, we were hanging out for a long time. He's got a little bit less than a 1-year-old, and he's 41 years old.
Well, yeah, okay.
Y'all are fine.
I mean, yeah,
you're fine.
And 100%.
Hold on. Let's stop talking about her for a second. Just listen to me. This has been your pattern your entire life for almost 40 years. What you've done is not working anymore. You have a choice. You can just keep going. You're going to end up with a third kid, and you're probably crafty enough to figure it out and bury yourself in the process just like your parents did. If that's your choice, choose that, hold your head up high, and then go on about your day. But if you choose something different, it's going to feel radically uncomfortable, and not only from her, from your inner compass, because your inner compass says you have one job, and that is to bury yourself and make sure everybody else gets whatever they want whenever they want.
Yeah.
And so the discomfort, like I hear you challenging me, and I'm not mad, I'm not frustrated. In fact, I'm loving you for it, but I'm hearing you play out the last 40 years in real time.
Yeah.
Which is math doesn't matter, 2 + 2 = 4 doesn't matter. It's not safe. I'm just going to tell you it's 2 + 2 = 5, and let's move on with our day. And if you look at, and I'm looking at this culturally, that's kind of the cultural narrative we have. And dude, we've ended up on the moon. Like facts aren't even facts anymore. You know what I mean?
True.
Like data's not data. Reality's not reality. We live in a video simulation. It's just so strange, but it's this idea that there has to be some innate discomfort to say, I want to be a part of a marriage where we're both working towards something, not where I am a servant. I am not a maid in my own home. I am not a direct deposit. I am a co-creator of an amazing life, and both of us get to choose that.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I've struggled with on top of all this is like my belief on kind of in the marriage is, you know, you're I think you said once before, like you're kind of underneath it all. You're not above it, you're like underneath.
That's right.
Like you're holding everything up almost. But there's like this weird line between like serving them and being a servant. And like I struggle with that. Like I'm doing everything because I feel like
look, you can get under a squat rack. I did legs this morning. You can get under a squat bar and lift it and hold it. Also, a doormat is underneath everything too, where people wipe the dog crap off their shoes on you.
That's my problem, right? Like
there's a difference.
Yeah, I have a hard time with that.
One is about stability and strength, and I will be a foundation. And the other is I'm a doormat. But that means you have to ask yourself the terrifying question, what do I actually want and what do I actually need? And I don't think you've ever done that.
No, I don't think that I have.
And I'm telling you right now, you're communicating to your kids, you don't get wants and needs. Your wants and needs are to be a donkey for everybody else in your life, to ride on, whip, carry, drag, whatever.
Yeah.
And donkeys don't co-create. They just do what they're told.
Yeah, and like I deep down, I can't really blame anyway my in some ways my wife for it, because I did build this ecosystem that she's capitalizing on. Because
let's move blame out of the context. That's not going to do anything for anybody. That's where the conversation, and it can be done with your therapist, that's where the conversation is so critical to say, however we got here, we're here. Does it matter if we took a right turn, a left turn, 4 lefts, 2 rights, then we went on the back road, went over an overpass? Doesn't matter. We are here right now. I'm not driving anymore until we get a new map that we're going to draw up together, and it's going to have a destination on it that we both agree on. Period. End of story. And that destination is going to be hard for us. We've never done it before. Never had a budget. We've never made a choice together. We've never chosen to not go out. We've never chosen a smaller house because we have goals 25 years from now. We have goals for our grandkids. We've never said we're not gonna. We don't even know how to do that, but that's our roadmap. That's where we're headed, and we're gonna do that together. You've never done that. And so at some point you have to say, I'm done driving in this car. this car, I'm not driving it anymore. I would love for you to get in this other car with me, and then we're going to build a map together, and then we're going to create a destination, and we're going to go get there. Be underwater, over bridges. We're going to have to walk some, hike some, all, but we're going to go make that happen. And you're in a good position because you have that with your therapist. My recommendation is you write out, what do you want? When it comes to dinner, when it comes to, I want to be taken seriously. I want us to do a budget together every week. I want us to exercise together. Whatever it is, I don't care. You get to decide that. But you have to be willing to put it down on a piece of paper. And brother, you got to be willing for her to look at it and go, screw you, I'm out. If that happens, you have to understand she said, screw you, I'm out a long time ago, and she's just been using you as an ATM deposit machine. That's it. If she says, my God, you're right, I can't believe we got here. I would love to build something new, and I don't even know how. Then you got a therapist saying, I got you. I'll walk alongside you. Thanks for the call, man. You're worth sitting down and figuring this out. What do I want? What do I need? And then, man, you got to write it down. You got to communicate it and do it in front of a therapist because she hasn't been able to hear it. And you can have some compassion for her, but have some compassion for yourself. She's dragged you around long enough. She's beat you up long enough. She's threatened you enough. You're a good man. And you're worth having somebody that builds life with you. Thanks for the call, man.